Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the fourth Sunday of Advent, and we are at Rex Gentium. How do you relate to that? That is the King of all peoples. Obviously, there's a gender base there, and I'm going to bypass that. I think that was probably a cultural way of referring to who would be the supreme leader, and something we're still working through. But whether it's true or not, I'll bypass the gender reference to it and look at it more as the reign of all peoples. If you read the poem in the email, you'll see that I chose something a little bit unusual, didn't I? It wasn't strictly liturgical or strictly of a religious sacred nature, but rather of a natural sacred nature. Let me read Mary Oliver's poem to you. My work is loving the world. Here the sunflowers, there the hummingbird, equal seekers of sweetness. Here the quickening yeast, there the blue plums. Here the clam deep in the speckled sand. Are my boots old? Is my coat torn? Am I no longer young and still half perfect? Let me keep my mind on what matters, which is my work, which is mostly standing still and learning to be astonished. The phoebe, the delphinium, the sheep in the pasture and the pasture, which is mostly rejoicing since all the ingredients are here, which is gratitude, to be given a mind and a heart and these body clothes, a mouth with which to give shouts of joy to the moth and the wren, to the sleepy dug-up clam, telling them all over and over how it is that we live forever. When I reflect upon the nature of this antiphon, the King of all peoples, or the reign of all kingdoms or all peoples, I reflect upon how much that is an active work. Sometimes we can look at hierarchies and we can see the people who are the ones over all or for all as more like an emblem or an icon. But I prefer to see that coming into the true reigning is this work that Mary Oliver points to, that to realize the kingdom of heaven on earth, that to realize the fullness of the embodiment of consciousness in each and every person, that it takes getting really intimate. It takes pouring ourselves out in such a way that she said her work is to stand astonished at what is before her. Can you think of a time that you stood astonished before something? And in a way, you found yourself in the service of it, whether you were in the service of its beauty, in the service of its relevance. There is something when we stand in astonishment that pours out of us naturally. This, I believe, is the reign of the kingdom, because this uprising and pouring out of us places us in a deeper relationship with that before us, so deep that to hurt what is before us would be to hurt ourselves. The reign of the kingdom. And this uprising that leads us to pour out to that which is before us moves through all the areas where we have fear. Whether it will be true in the end or not, I'm a big believer that even where there's arrogance, where there's deceit, where there is greed, where there is power struggle, that underlying all that is delusion, and underlying the delusion is fear. And that fear comes from a misunderstanding of the nature of the relationship of all things. And that may prove in my lifetime to be untrue. But at this point, I find it to be true. So that even when we come across what we might consider the most despicable use of power, we can soften our relationship to it by recognizing the fear that is at its center. This does not mean that we're meant to simply stand by or condone misuse of power. If anything, it lets us rise up even more in the service of the highest good. But we do it from a place that is not confrontational, but inspirational. It gets into the use of power and brings the reign of the kingdom in a way that if there's even a slightest window of receptivity, it can flood inward and touch. I think when I'm referring to this, Gandhi is a great example with his nonviolent protests, right? He was bringing the kingdom, the reigndom, the queendom with truth and justice. He said once that justice is not just simply the absence of violence, it's the presence of freedom. And when we stand astonished before every point of creation, we free that which is before us because we've let go of our ulterior motives to be attached to the person, place, or thing. And we stand in wonder and in awe to that which is before us. We liberate, and we are liberated by it. I remember when I was young, I think I was 19 or 20, and I was living in Santa Cruz. It was during my honeymoon phase with the divine, where a lot of extraordinary phenomena was happening right and left, and I was definitely having no choice but to surrender into the love that was pursuing me. And I had been invited to be one of a group of people to be a manager one night a week at a shelter. It was already a place that I was in community. I was not only volunteering a lot, but I was close friends with the founder and with a small group of others. We would spend long hours praying and meditating together in the mission chapel. And I hesitated before I said yes to being the manager. It would place me in a very unique position in relation to all these people that we were serving. First of all, I was going to be quite a bit younger than them. And second, a large part of our population were those truly suffering emotionally and mentally, not just going through hard physical times. We were helping those as well, but many of them were people suffering from the war, veterans, people who were suffering from mental instability, people who had abused drugs and it went bad for them. So we had a whole population of very unexpected situations. And I wondered if I was capable of being of service, of bringing the reigndom of heaven in the earth of this situation. And as I was standing there one night before I said yes or no, I was in the kitchen and I was looking at before me the beautiful community. Everyone was picking up dishes. It was after dinner and bringing them in, and I was there. And what arose most honestly within me around this hesitation was fear. I was scared that if I let myself get too close to everyone, that I myself would go insane, like some of the insanity that was before me. I had separation. I felt that some of our population had insanity, and then I had a relatively solid ground of sanity. I wasn't arrogant enough to think that I was actually sane, but I felt more sound as a human being. And I was scared that I could just lose it all if I gave my all here, which is what saying yes to being a manager would be. I didn't see the manager just quite simply as a role of organizing the evening. That's one component. I saw that I would be the one to be available and assailable to all that would happen there. And I would be the one that would have the opportunity to be of service in what could be very difficult situations of either keeping drugs out, making sure that there were moral boundaries, that no one was overstepping things, dealing with personalities that may be in conflict with me or with others, dealing with the instability that could have someone be triggered and go off. I would be the one that would be looked to. And though I could rely upon my team of volunteers, it would still be, I would be the start point. So there was a certain understanding of why I would feel some fear. But as I stood there and I looked out, I could feel Christ's presence. And then something very dramatic happened. The core of that fear that I just expressed rose viscerally up within me. And as it rose from deep in my belly upward in me, Christ appeared before me. Christ appeared before me in an etheric way, but almost like a gateway into intimacy with everyone. And at the same time, the field or the ground of being in which everyone was. And in that instant when Christ appeared to me, I realized that it is utterly safe to pour ourselves out from a place of compassion. Because the compassion itself is the stability. It's utterly safe to pour ourselves out in the service of love. Because that love itself is the grace moving through us that will not only sustain us, but will also bring us deeper into the embodiment of consciousness as well. What a liberating vision that was. And one that has created a disposition of audacity within me now in my life. I can't say there are no places I would ever go, but I would say that there are largely no places I would go in the flow of love. So this morning's meditation, I'm going to open with the O antiphon, but then we're going to move into a recitation, a toning of a mantra. And I chose this because this phrase, this mantric phrase, which is very popular in many Buddhist and Hindu circles, has been chanted for thousands of years. So there is a collective consciousness about the embodiment of consciousness in all creation. And you may or may not be familiar with it. The words are Om Mani Padme Hum. There are many translations, but the one I love is the jewel of consciousness, that's which is uncreated, the source of all the ineffable. The jewel of consciousness reaches the heart of the lotus. And if you are someone that is interested in or familiar with subtle energy, where it's believed that this mantra activates, opens the heart, the crown chakra, moves from like the third eye in the crown chakra back to the back of the head, the third eye, down into the heart and through to the front of the heart, and then up to the throat, so that the throat can voice what comes from the ineffable, grounds in the heart, and then comes forward. And what better mantra to hold for all creation, that we might have heaven on earth. So I'm not going to teach it to you. I'm simply going to chant it. And it's chanted twice through. The first time goes up, the second time goes down. Then I'll pause so that you can repeat. And we'll go back and forth like that, singing it back and forth, call and response, call and response. And then we'll move into a little bit of silence. Then I'll tap a bowl. And then we'll move into another recitation. And in this, I invite you to hold whatever way you wish that heaven may come to all fullness in earth. So I invite you to close your eyes. O Rex Gentium, et desideratus earum, lapisque angularis, qui facis utraque uno, veni et salva hominem, quem de limo formasti. We start in silence, that you might broaden and open yourself to be the instrument, the way in which grace flows like a river into our world, that heaven may be embodied in earth. And this catches up all those you know and all those you do not know. And bringing the fullness of our focus into the mantra, resting into, settling into, surrendering into the sound of each syllable. We begin our call and response. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 we move into a short period of silence, allow the mantra to still move through you. And we begin another round. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Once again, we spend a few moments in silence. And one more round of our mantra. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Together. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 And as we bring this meditation to a close, I invite you to make the choice, choose the intention of how you wish to walk in this world today as the embodiment of that mantra. Blessings, my friends. Looking forward to being with you for our last day tomorrow.